Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going deep on decisions.
Ooh, decisions, huh?
Yeah, and to help us out, we're going to be looking at Tony Robbins,
Okay, yeah.
specifically Awaken the Giant Within, which if you haven't read it,
Classic.
it's a classic.
Yeah.
And it's really for anyone looking to make a real impact with their life. I mean, seriously, think about it. Where were you 20 years ago?
Oh, wow.
It's crazy how fast time flies, right?
It really is.
And all the choices that we made along the way have led us to, well, right here.
Right.
And that's exactly what Robbins wants us to dig into, like how the decisions that we make end up shaping the destiny that we live.
It's so interesting because Robbins goes beyond just like those huge life-altering moments. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He really argues that every single decision, even something as small as what you had for breakfast, it all contributes to the bigger picture of where your life is going.
So you're telling me that grabbing a donut instead of a protein shake this morning could have sent me on a totally different life path.
Well, not necessarily like a completely different path, but it does kind of highlight how our decisions sort of trigger actions, right? And create momentum that carries us forward.
Okay.
Think of it like setting a course on a map.
Okay.
You might not know the exact destination yet, but you're definitely moving in a direction.
I see. Okay, so I'm starting to get how these seemingly small choices can, like, add up. But does that mean that I should stress over every little decision that I make?
Not at all. Robbins isn't saying that we should all have analysis paralysis.
Right.
Actually, he uses a really great historical example to illustrate this. He talks about Rosa Parks
Oh, yeah.
and her refusal to give up her seat on the bus.
Of course.
You know,
That small act of defiance kind of set off the entire civil rights movement?
exactly. It's a huge ripple effect.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, what decisions have you made that led to unexpected outcomes?
Yeah.
You know, good or bad?
That is a great question for our listeners to think about. I mean, we all have those choices we look back on and wonder, what if we had done something different? Or maybe we're celebrating a choice we made that opened up a door we didn't know existed.
Right.
It's a lot like what we're doing now, taking the time to learn and grow from these really powerful ideas.
Totally, totally. And Robbins, to kind of help us grasp how decisions actually work, he gives us these three fundamental choices
Okay.
that kind of govern our lives.
Okay, let's hear it. I'm ready to level up my decision-making game here.
Okay. So the first one is what we choose to focus on.
Okay.
Where is your attention directed? Is it on the problems or is it on the possibilities?
Right, because our focus shapes our reality, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And then the second one is the meaning we assign to things.
Okay.
Do we see a setback as a failure or as a valuable lesson?
So it's not just what happens to us, but it's how we choose to interpret it.
Yes.
That's powerful.
And then finally, the action that we take. Do our choices, do they actually align with our goals and the values that we have? Robbins uses this really great story of Ed Roberts.
Ed Roberts, now, wasn't he the first severely disabled student to go to UC Berkeley? I feel like I've read about him.
Yeah. He
went on to be a prominent activist for
Activist.
disability rights, right?
Yes, exactly. He contracted polio as a kid.
Wow.
And was confined to a wheelchair. But he really shows how making these decisions can lead to an incredible life.
That's amazing.
And think about it.
Yeah.
Ed Roberts could have very easily focused on his limitations.
Right.
But he chose to focus on what he could do.
Wow.
He assigned a new meaning to the challenges that he was facing,
Yeah.
using them as fuel to advocate for change. And the actions he took, they created this legacy that still impacts us today.
So what you're saying is that by consciously making those three decisions, what we focus on, the meaning we give things, and the actions that we take, we can create a ripple effect that shapes our lives and even impacts the world around us.
Exactly.
Okay.
But there's a catch. Robbins warns us about falling prey to what he calls Niagara syndrome.
Niagara syndrome, that sounds pretty intense.
It is. So it's like this. Imagine a boat, drifting down a river.
Okay, yeah.
You're so busy navigating the rapids that you don't even see the massive waterfall ahead.
Oh, ouch. So we get so caught up in the day-to-day that we don't even consider the long-term consequences of our choices.
Right.
I've definitely been guilty of that.
It's such a common trap,
Yeah.
especially in today's fast-paced world.
Hmm.
And Robbins argues that this short-term thinking, it really permeates a lot of aspects of our society.
Like how? What are some examples?
Well, look at our education system. A lot of the emphasis is on like getting good grades in the short term,
Yeah.
rather than actually like fostering a lifelong love of learning. And don't even get me started on healthcare.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. We go for the quick fixes instead of addressing the root causes of our health problems.
All about instant gratification, not long-term well-being.
Exactly.
And, Robbins even brings up business decisions where companies will prioritize immediate profits
Right.
over sustainability. And this leads to, disasters.
Yeah.
Like the Exxon Valdez oil spill, for example,
Yeah.
with like devastating environmental and financial costs.
Of course.
So it's a real reminder that short-term thinking can have major consequences.
So how do we avoid this Niagara syndrome and start making decisions that benefit us in the long run? I'm guessing Tony Robbins has some thoughts on that.
He does. He does. And to illustrate this, he actually uses this really inspiring story of Soichiro Honda,
Oh, Honda.
the founder of Honda Corporation.
Yeah.
But it wasn't an overnight success story.
No, I know a little bit about Honda. Didn't he start out really small, like building piston rings in a tiny workshop?
Yeah.
I think I read that he even got rejected by Toyota at one point.
Yeah. He faced so many setbacks. Wartime shortages, a factory that was destroyed by an earthquake, the list goes on and on. But what's so incredible is his commitment to this long-term vision.
So even though he was facing those rapids in the river, he still kept his eyes on the horizon.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
And it makes you think,
Yeah.
what are you willing to commit to for the long haul? What are you willing to sacrifice today to create the future that you want?
That's deep stuff. But, knowing what we should do and actually doing it, those are two very different things.
Right.
And that's where I think Robbins really stands out. He's all about taking action.
Yes.
In fact, he gives us 6 specific tips for harnessing the power of decision-making.
The first one is to acknowledge the impact of our choices,
Okay.
even the seemingly small ones.
Okay, so awareness is key. Got it. What's next?
He encourages us to make decisions quickly and thoughtfully,
Okay.
using our values as a kind of compass.
So be decisive, but not impulsive. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. And just like any skill, practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
The more decisions we make, the better we get at it.
So don't be afraid to flex those decision-making muscles. Okay, what else?
He says we need to learn from every decision,
Okay.
the good and the bad.
Oh, so even those so-called mistakes are actually valuable learning opportunities.
Absolutely. Every experience can teach us something.
I'm taking notes here. What are the last 2?
Okay. Stay committed to your goals, but be flexible in your approach.
So have a clear destination, but be willing to adjust the route along the way.
Yes. And finally, approach decision-making with a sense of joyful anticipation.
Wait, joyful anticipation. How do I do that when I'm faced with, like, a really tough choice?
It's about shifting your perspective, Instead of seeing decisions as burdens, view them as opportunities
Oh, okay.
to shape your destiny.
So instead of, ugh, I have to make a decision, it's more like, woohoo, I get to create my future.
Exactly. Every decision is a chance to move closer to the life that you want.
This is mind-blowing. But before we get too carried away, let's pause here for a second.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
We've talked about how those small decisions can create ripple effects, how to avoid that Niagara syndrome, and we even got some practical tips from Tony Robbins himself. But this is just the beginning. There's so much more to uncover.
Oh, yeah. We've only just scratched the surface here.
In Awaken the Giant Within.
There's so much more.
One of the things I really like about Robbins is he doesn't just throw these big ideas out there and then leave us hanging.
Right.
He actually gives us a roadmap for how to actually put these principles into action.
Yeah, he doesn't just tell us to awaken the giant within. He shows us exactly how to do it.
Exactly. And he doesn't sugarcoat it either,
Right.
He's very upfront about personal growth requiring effort. But he also makes it clear that it's totally possible for anyone who's willing to do the work.
And one of the most powerful tools that he gives us is the idea of finding these living examples.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Well, think about it this way. We're surrounded by people who've already achieved what we want to achieve.
Right.
These are the people who embody those qualities that we want to cultivate, like whether it's in business or relationships or health or, any area of life.
So instead of trying to figure everything out on our own, we can actually learn from the people who have already walked the path.
Exactly. Robbins encourages us to Seek out those mentors to study their habits, their mindsets, their decision-making.
I love that. It's like having a shortcut to success.
Uh-huh.
But it's not about copying someone else's life. It's about
Mm-mm.
learning from their experience and applying those lessons to your own unique journey.
Exactly. And to help us navigate that journey, Robbins digs into these 5 key areas that he believes are really essential for creating a really fulfilling life.
Okay, I'm ready. Give them to me. I'm taking notes.
Okay, so he calls them the 5 masteries: emotions, physical body, relationships, finances, and time.
Wow, that's a pretty comprehensive list. Okay, let's let's break it down. So first up, emotions. I think we can all relate to feeling overwhelmed by our emotions sometimes.
Oh, for sure. Robbins says that mastering our emotions is so crucial because they drive so much of our behavior.
Yeah.
If we're constantly just reacting to external circumstances, we're really giving up control of our lives.
So how do we gain that control? I mean, sometimes it feels like my emotions are just like a runaway train.
Well, Robbins gives us this step-by-step process for, first of all, identifying those triggers that kind of set off those negative emotions,
Okay.
and then, coming up with strategies to manage them. And he really emphasizes that emotions aren't inherently good or bad. It's how we interpret them and react to them that really matters.
So instead of trying to suppress our emotions, it's more about understanding them and choosing how we respond.
Exactly. And he has this concept called emotional granularity,
Okay.
which is really about developing this richer emotional vocabulary.
Okay.
The more nuanced our understanding is of our emotions, the better equipped we are to actually manage them effectively.
It's like having a toolkit, right?
Yeah.
For navigating the ups and downs of life. Okay, so we've tackled emotions. What about the physical body?
Well, Robbins is a huge advocate for taking care of our physical health. He talks about all these alarming statistics about, health issues that are related to poor lifestyle choices.
Yeah.
And he emphasizes how important it is to make our well-being a priority.
Right, because it's hard to achieve anything if you're running on fumes.
Exactly. So he focuses on things like nutrition and exercise and stress management. He reminds us that our bodies are these incredible machines,
Yeah.
but they need the right fuel and care to really function at their best.
Yeah. It's like that saying, take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. Okay, so emotions, physical health, those are crucial. What about relationships?
Relationships, oh man, this is a big one. So Robbins, he goes deep into the dynamics of healthy connections, both with ourselves and with other people. He really emphasizes the importance of understanding our own values, our needs, and our expectations so that we can actually communicate effectively
Yeah.
and build these strong supportive bonds.
I think we all crave connection, we crave belonging, but sometimes those relationships can feel like a minefield.
They can be challenging for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but Robbins gives us some really practical tools and strategies for navigating those challenges.
Okay.
He reminds us that healthy relationships require effort and communication and a willingness to compromise.
Okay, so we've covered emotions, physical health, relationships. What's next on his list of masteries?
Finances.
Okay, good.
He doesn't shy away from talking about money.
I was hoping we'd get to that because, money may not buy happiness, but it can definitely reduce a lot of stress.
Absolutely. And Robin's approach to finances it's really interesting. He emphasizes that it's not just about accumulating wealth.
Yeah.
It's about using money as this tool to create the life that we actually want.
So it's about aligning your finances with your values and your goals.
Exactly.
Hmm.
He encourages us to examine our beliefs about money and set clear financial goals.
Right.
And then create strategies to achieve them.
I think a lot of people struggle with money because they haven't really defined what financial well-being means to them.
That's such a good point.
Hmm.
And Robbins reminds us that financial well-being is about more than just like numbers in a bank account.
Right.
It's about feeling secure and empowered and being able to actually pursue our passions
Yeah.
without being held back by those financial constraints.
I love that. Okay, so we've covered emotions, physical body, relationships, and finances. What's the final piece of the puzzle here?
Time. And I think this is something we can all relate to, like struggling with. There's never enough of it.
No, I'm always trying to squeeze, more hours into the day.
Well, Robbins actually kind of reframes time management as a matter of aligning our actions with our values and our priorities. He encourages us to, identify those time-wasting activities that are really distracting us from our goals, and then to develop strategies to really stay focused on what truly matters.
So it's about being intentional with our time, not just letting it kind of slip away.
Exactly. One of his big strategies is to actually create this master plan,
Okay.
like a roadmap that outlines our desired outcomes
Okay.
and the steps we need to take to achieve them.
I like that master plan. That sounds like a great way to stay on track and not get sidetracked by all the little things.
Yeah, it is. But he emphasizes the importance of being flexible and adaptable.
Okay.
Even the best laid plans sometimes need to be adjusted along the way.
Right.
And being open to new information and opportunities, that's really essential for growth.
So it's a balance of planning and then being open to the unexpected twists and turns that life throws at us.
Exactly. And remember these 5 masteries, emotions, physical body, relationships, finances, and time. They're all connected.
So when one area is out of balance, it affects all the others.
Exactly. Robbins emphasizes that true fulfillment comes from creating this harmony across all those areas of our lives.
This is incredible. It's like he's given us this blueprint for building a life that's not only successful but deeply meaningful.
He has, but remember, it's just a blueprint. It's really up to each of us to actually take those tools and create our own masterpiece.
And that's where Robbins leaves us with this final thought-provoking question.
He asks, who are the living examples in your life who can guide you toward the results you desire?
Wow, that is a powerful question. Yeah, it really makes you stop and think, like, who are those people that we really admire? The ones who just seem to, like, navigate life with this certain, grace and wisdom.
Yeah, it could be anyone, a really successful entrepreneur, maybe like a compassionate leader, that friend who always seems to make the best decisions, even like a fictional character from a book or a movie. The point is that we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. We can learn from the people who have come before us, study the choices they've made, get some insights from their experiences.
So are you saying, like, we should each find a mentor in every single area of our lives?
Not necessarily. It's more about recognizing that we're already surrounded by these living examples,
Yes.
these people who can, inspire us and give us valuable guidance. And Robbins's message is that we don't have to do this alone.
Yeah.
There's so much wisdom and experience out there if we're, open to it.
I love that. It's like we're all part of this big interconnected web of knowledge, and we can draw strength and inspiration from each other.
Exactly. And that kind of brings us back to the heart of this whole deep dive, the power of decisions.
Yeah.
As we've been talking about, even those small choices can create these ripple effects, not just in our own lives, but in the world around us.
It's really mind-blowing when you actually stop and think about it. We really do have the power to create our own destiny,
We do.
one decision at a time.
We do. And as Robbins says, knowledge without action, it's kind of useless.
So what's one small step that our listeners can take today to start harnessing that power, the power of decision-making?
I would say, pick just one of Robbins' tips
Yeah.
and put it into practice. Like maybe just take a moment to really think about the impact your choices could have,
Uh-huh.
or practice making decisions quickly and confidently.
Or maybe reach out to someone you admire and ask for their advice.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be this huge, grand gesture. Just remember that even those small steps taken consistently can create some really incredible results.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Tony Robbins's Awaken the Giant Within, I want to leave our listeners with this. The power to shape your destiny is within you. It's time to awaken that giant within and create the life that you truly desire.
And don't forget, you don't have to do it alone. Look around you, find those living examples, and let their wisdom guide you on that journey.